Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all-natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until noon today as KU in action against Tennessee, a top 10 matchup coming up today around 1:30 or so. And we will have that for you right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB with a little KU pregame coming your way in just a couple of hours. So we have an abbreviated show today as we head off into the Thanksgiving holidays, and hopefully everybody will be enjoying your Thanksgiving holiday with hopefully some time off, some football, some friends, some family, and just some relaxation. Hopefully that is the case, and everybody has some fun and can get ready for the Raiders and some college football and some college basketball going on as well. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Here's how the show lines up today. We got a packed one for just the 2 hours. We will hear from Lee Sterling coming up later on this hour. Paramount Sports, typically on a Friday, but no show Thursday, Friday. So we will hear from Lee Sterling today with Todd Lebo getting you set for Thanksgiving, the weekend, and certainly Chiefs and Raiders in Vegas. And then at 11 o'clock, we will have our usual Wednesday conversation with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. We'll talk with her, get her thoughts on this Chiefs team, concerns she may or may not have with this Chiefs offense, and the less than 6 points per half in the second half this year, the lowest scoring offense in the NFL.
Just like we all predicted.
In the second half, which is, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, I've been saying that for years, that 2023 is going to be one of the lowest scoring second halves for the Chiefs in history. So.
Think of a time in Chiefs history when they didn't have a generational quarterback, a future Hall of Famer head coach, and just a defense that was carrying all of the weight, and the offense was a problem.
Tried to tell you guys. Fewest second half points scored in the first 10 games of a season in the last 10 years. 2019 Dolphins scored 37. 2016 Browns scored 51, and the 2023 Chiefs have scored 53. They have the third lowest total of points in the second half through the team's first 10 games in the last decade, and it is quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes, coached by Andy Reid, and Travis Kelce's on the field.
What?
And they have they have considered one of the top 2 or 3 interior offensive lines in the NFL.
What Browns team was that?
2016 Browns team.
You know how many football games that team won?
Less than the Chiefs have won already.
They won one. I think that was the final straw for Hugh Jackson. Nope, sorry, he came back the next year and went 0-16. My bad.
What about the 2019 Dolphins?
I don't know what they were. Was that leading into
Tua would have been 2019. That would have been Tua's rookie year.
It might not have been as bad. Sorry, so it's the 19 Dolphins?
Yeah, 2019 Dolphins. That wasn't the we were told to tank year, right? I mean, I don't know. That was the
Dolphins have had a weird stretch of unpleasant but not completely disastrous. That was Brian Flores 5-11.
5-11. Okay.
And then 10-6 the year after that.
Yeah. I couldn't remember what the year was that Brian Flores said that they were told to tank and you needed to lose games, right? And that was part of the lawsuit and everything.
Flores went 5-11 in 2019 as his first year after Adam Gase. So yeah, that would line up, I think.
Okay.
So of the teams trying to win, the Chiefs are pretty rough on that list.
Yeah, so we'll talk with Cynthia Freeland about what's going on, what's fixable, and also look around at the AFC because, are the Ravens formidable? I think they are. Are they formidable to the level that the Chiefs and maybe the NFL viewed the Bills and Bengals in the AFC with the Chiefs? Have the Ravens taken that spot from a level of how they're playing? Make sure you add in that Mark Andrews has a chance to return later on in the year, has a chance to return. Make sure you keep that included because that's part of it. Or have they simply taken that spot because somebody needed to fill that role? The Bengals and the Bills are not doing that, holding up their end of the bargain in terms of what this season was expected to be and how tough of a gauntlet it was expected to be in the AFC. You can make a case, not even make a case, I think it is factual, that the beginning of the season, we talked about how tough the AFC was going to be to make it out of the AFC. And I would make a case that it's going to be tougher to make it out of the NFC with the three teams they have at the top. With Detroit, San Francisco, and Philadelphia, and even throw in Dallas if you want to.
I kind of do want to.
Yeah, I mean, Micah Parsons is, had just an unbelievable game over the weekend. CeeDee Lamb, even though he didn't have a great game, still playing like an all-pro receiver.
Dak has been excellent since the last time we all watched him when he got his bleep caved in by the Niners. It's crazy.
We'll see him tomorrow. So we'll see Dak go 17 of 45 for 140 yards, one touchdown, 3 interceptions, and a lost fumble.
I hate to disagree with you, but actually they're going up against Washington, so he's going to have an incredible game and get no credit for it because it's Washington.
That's what's going to make it worse. The Giants scored 30-plus points against this Commanders team. Why did the Dallas Cowboys only score 10?
Would the Cowboys be a playoff team with Tommy DeVito?
Skip. Different networks, but I think it would be funny if he just started going, skip.
I would like that a lot.
Skip.
You've done it before.
Dallas Cowboys, skip. So I think the NFC, right now, with 7 more games to play, is the tougher conference to make it out of than the Chiefs and Ravens being the teams at the top. And then, well, maybe it's the Steelers. Well, they just fired an offensive coordinator. And to me, firing an offensive coordinator is one step closer to benching Kenny Pickett. Because it's not the player's fault, it's the coordinator's fault. New coordinator comes in, it might be the player's fault. So once you go that route, you've kind of said, we're putting it on this person. The next person's going to reach Kenny Pickett. The offense is going to be better with him at quarterback. And if it's not, probably him. So they've got their issues. The Cleveland Browns have DTR. The Bengals have Josh Brisco Downing. Jake Browning. I'll get his name right eventually, I promise.
I don't know that we will, dude.
I'm not even joking about that. I obviously should know his name. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL now. But even talking with Field Yates on Monday, I actually thought that was his name.
You called him John Browning.
Yeah, I called him
Jake Browning.
Yeah,
that's
then
right.
I just called him Jake Downing for some reason. So I got the last name right on Monday and the first name right today. I will eventually put those together when the Chiefs play the Bengals in a few weeks, if he is still the quarterback there.
His name isn't Josh Dobbs, so I don't care.
That's right. And you've got the Chargers that continue to charger. Brandon Staley may not be the head coach by the time the Chiefs play the Chargers again. Bills with their defense. I mean, you go through Miami, the Chiefs have already beaten the Dolphins, and the Dolphins' offense is not the waterfall of points that we saw at the beginning of the season. They have had their struggles in the last month or so. Not as bad as the Chiefs in the second half, but the Miami Dolphins have gone a couple of games getting shut out in halves from touchdowns. The Miami Dolphins didn't score a point in the first half against the Chiefs, and they scored 6 points over the weekend, right?
In the half?
Yeah, 6 points in the second half.
I think that's right.
In their game on Sunday. So they aren't exactly, faucet wide open, and they are just, they scored 2 field goals. They scored 17 total points against Philadelphia, 31 against New England, 14 against the Chiefs, shut out in the first half, and then they scored 20 against the Raiders, including 2 field goals in the second half.
Both in the third quarter, for what it's worth. They didn't score in the fourth.
Yeah, so that is 2 straight games in which a half of football they scored 0 against the Chiefs, and a half of football they put 2 field goals on the board against the Raiders. That is not an offense that is looking like they're scoring 70 against the Broncos earlier this year. And that is now a different Broncos defense than it was earlier this year because the Broncos are getting lots of turnovers from teams. They are causing turnovers, keeping them in games, and helping them have the longest winning streak in the NFL right now at 4 games, which is just fascinating and shows you that if you thought Sean Payton was a good enough coach, I still think you're dumb.
Yeah. Anyone in this building who thought Sean Payton was going to make that team better.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Stupid head.
Stupid, dumb, bald person probably.
Yeah, maybe the...
Hey, Dylan, don't be so rude.
Yeah, maybe the missing the U and the B in the initials of D and M. D-U-M-B, dumb, Dylan.
Can't spell Dylan Michaels without most of the letters in dumb.
Can't spell dumb without a D and an M, right, Dylan Michaels? You Sean Payton apologist.
God, they're in second, man. They might.
You're all alone in second.
they're alone in second, dude.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
If they,
he can, you know what, Dylan Geets. If they continue doing this, he can keep taking his victory laps on that.
Dylan, also
on his,
famous,
me and
huge,
John Gruden.
On his unabashed love of Sean Payton.
Famously huge Broncos fan, Dylan Michaels.
Yes.
That's the real cruelty of all of this. Is you're gonna end up being proven completely right, and what you being right means is that the Broncos are kind of good again. Congratulations, Dylan.
Me and
done.
Brandon Perna.
Yes. Oh,
Well done.
justifiably. Good for him.
Well done. So we'll talk to Cynthia. We'll hang out with Todd Lebo for a segment as well. But let's start off with basketball last night. KU in action today against Tennessee at 1:30. Mizzou taking on South Carolina State tonight at 6 o'clock, and then K-State Central Arkansas. Scottie Pippen will not be playing in that game. Okay. That's at 7 o'clock. But KU and Tennessee 1:30 today on ESPN. It's a 1:30 game and not the second of the 2 games because it is for third and fourth. The winning streak in Maui snapped last night for KU, finishing second in 2011, winning it in 2015 and 19. And is this the first time in Bill Self's time that they haven't played for the championship at the Maui? Doesn't matter. Just random. I know the previous 3 times they played for the championship, played in the championship game. But it's because of the play of Marquette last night and what they did in that game. A couple of takeaways besides the, well, one takeaway besides the Bill Self shock, which is the most fascinating part of last night because it's a November basketball game. You know what? Marquette was better last night on that night. Marquette was a better basketball team last night.
Yeah.
Are they a better basketball team tonight if they were to play? I don't know. They, I know this. If they match up again, you know where it'll be. It'll be at a neutral court in the tournament, and KU will have a pretty decent idea about the speed of Marquette. It's one of those things where you Tyreek Hill on film. I've gone against fast guys before. All right, it's different when you see it in person. Marquette, they're fast. They're quick. They're all over the place. It feels like there's 6 defenders out there. There's havoc, right? But when you're actually playing in the game, you get sped up, you turn the ball over. Just some easy passes, like Hunter Dickinson throwing it into the third row, trying to throw a cross-court 100-mile-an-hour pass. I agree with Matt Derrick. That's an uncatchable pass that Hunter Dickinson threw. DeJuan Harris doing the same thing in the first half, and Bill Self having to look and go, Juan, hey, calm. You're good. You're good, man. You're good. And even after the game, Bill Self saying, yeah, they ran some, token full court, some soft pressure, and even that, we didn't handle it well. It's a game in which KU can look in the mirror and say, here's what we have to improve on, and then go win 20 straight games.
Yep.
Because that's what this team is probably going to do. And you're going to look back and go, boy, if they played Marquette right now, what we saw against Kentucky for this KU team was a fast, athletic team that can shoot the rock and has some dynamic playmakers, but they didn't have a big man to help out with Hunter Dickinson. And Hunter Dickinson went 27-21. We saw against Marquette a team that's fast, athletic, wreaks havoc on defense, has playmakers, can knock down open shots, and had a big man in there that could help out with Hunter Dickinson. And it bothered Hunter Dickinson, not Iguodala, but Iguodaro played fantastic basketball last night. And Kolek is a guy that if you weren't a KU fan last night just watching the game, he's someone you just enjoy watching play. Just the way that he controls the game and passes the ball, and he's got a lot in his bag. And Marquette is a fun team to watch if you weren't a KU fan, because they're so fast, they're so quick, defensively what they're doing. And Shaka has them playing fantastic basketball in November. We'll see what happens in March later on. And if these two teams match up again, I'll take KU and Bill Self in the tournament. Some of that's because of how great Bill Self and KU are in the tournament, and he's won 2 national championships. And some of it is also Shaka still living off the Final Four run of 2011 at VCU and not doing much in the NCAA tournament. So I'll take and KU having already seen them. But that is going to be something to watch moving forward, are the more athletic teams, the quicker teams that can get into the lane but also knock down shots. And if they have at least someone who's 6'10". Tennessee's got a big man today and one of the best defenses, smothering defenses in college basketball. We'll see what today looks like. They're not nearly as fast and quick as Marquette, so it'll be interesting in the game today. But the other point on KU and actually what their team construction looks like is they need Timberlake or Furphy to develop, get comfortable, and start knocking down shots. I think Timberlake will do that. The guy's a career 40% three-point shooter. He made almost 100 threes last year. He didn't forget how to shoot just because he put a KU jersey on. He's gone 4 of 12. I guarantee you last year when he shot, 42% from 3 at Towson, he probably had a stretch where he went 4 of 12. I would guarantee you, as a career 40% three-point shooter in 4 years at Towson, he's probably had many 4 of 12 stretches. I don't know that he's had stretches where he's 4 of 12 and missing free throws at the same time, where he's clearly pressing and thinking about it, not just playing basketball, because now he's at Kansas. He's going to be fine. And if he's fine, and if Furphy develops as just strictly shooters, it changes a lot for KU, because it can open up for Hunter Dickinson. It can open up for DeJuan driving. It can open up for McCullough just being an overall basketball player with yet another triple-double. It can open those things up for different guys. Right now, there isn't a guy that you go, you'd better get out there and get your hands up because that's a shooter. Right now, get out there, shooter, close hard on that guy. You do with Timberlake's got the ball, but he's not knocking it down. When, not if, when that starts happening, that's another level for KU. That's what can also make them scary, is how they're playing right now, what they look like, and they don't have the three-point threat right now from an actual, McCullough can knock it down. We know that. DeJuan Harris, when wide open, can knock it down. Hunter Dickinson in transition last night looked like he was bobbling the ball while he was bringing it up to his pocket and then knocked the shot down from the top of the key. You know he can knock it down. But a guy that'll just be spotted up like a Timberlake or Furphy, where you can kick it out and just have him knock it down, because that's then the respect from the help defense. And if somebody's not, dropping down to help dig on Dickerson, if it's a smaller guy and you've got the shooter out there, well, now you get more one-on-ones inside. You can get a 4-out, 1-in with Dickinson, and you can really exploit what he does well. That'll happen. I am confident that'll happen for KU, because I just think Timberlake's too good of a shooter. You don't forget how to shoot just because you change jerseys. You might press and try to do too much because now you're wearing a KU jersey. Right. But he'll get used to it. He'll be fine. And that's going to make KU really dangerous.
This also...
By the way, I say make KU really dangerous.
Yeah.
As the current number one team, but Marquette may move up to number one when the rankings come out if they win today.
That goes directly into just the one thing that feels perfect about this. It is just a perfect little cold briquette into the fire of Bill Self's favorite thing to do, which is to say that the best team in the country is just no good in November. This isn't a loss, not to twist the knife or anything, but this isn't losing to Jackson State when you're going like, oh man, well if we're a team that's kind of on the bubble.
They haven't won this year. Nobody would have lost.
No one would have lost. They were the best 0-5 team in the country is what I heard. But like, if you're a bubble team that has a bad loss early on, you can get nervous. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. I shouldn't have sideswiped you. It's just what he said. Best 0-5 team in the country.
That got me off guard with that.
It's unbelievable.
0-5 team in the country. How is this team 0-5? I don't know.
It's really incredible. But you can be Kansas here, lose to Marquette in Hawaii in November, and come March, it's not. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. Kansas isn't going to get knocked down a seed line because of this game, but Bill Self is going to get some practice reps out of this game, and not just practice reps of what to do if another head coach comes after you any point further in the season.
So that happened last night.
Yeah.
There is no loss between the two. That's obvious. Let's hear Shaka Smart after the game is over. And if you missed it, there was a little dust-up, as he called it. McCullough knocked down a three in front of the Marquette bench. And as he's running back towards or jogging back towards the other end, there was a stoppage of play. Hunter Dickinson fell. Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg were joking about how he flopped. Like, oh, I weigh 260. Oh. But either way, stoppage of play, and McCullough's talking to the bench. And then the timeout happens. McCullough is walking down to go and talk to his team. Something happens behind McCullough because Shaka Smart then looks that way and goes, shut the bleep up. Shut the bleep up. He didn't say it to McCullough. That was some of it last night. We're like, wow, he just told McCullough to shut the bleep up. Well, McCullough was at his 8 o'clock as he was looking over at his 11 when he said that. So McCullough was already past him. Either way, there was some talking that took place between McCullough and Shaka. KU's bench got involved, probably telling Shaka, like, hey, shut up, man. Yeah. Like, you shut the bleep up. And then, of course, that happened, and then Shaka got really demonstrative, and then, of course, then was immediately held back by the easiest of holdbacks ever. And then, of course, he just disappeared into the hedges like Homer Simpson just because he's small enough. It's like, where'd he go? He was behind his players back there. He's like running back. He's Darren Sproles in the backfield. He's Tyreek Hill against the Chiefs when he was bending down before he had that was Shaka. And Bill Self, I think he told Curtis Townsend to shut the bleep up because Curtis Townsend immediately responded and started walking over there. And then Bill Self was like, I mean stop. Punk ass. I don't know that he said that. I'm not
Between
sure.
watching Bill Self and Andy Reid get mad this week, it has been an unsettling sequence.
And I did love when they came back from break. They called the double technical, and then they're talking to him, and Shaka's upset about something, and Bill Self's talking, and then and Bill Self turns around. It shows the camera, and then Bill Self hears something, turns back around. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Here's Shaka, his version of what happened in that little dust-up.
Kevin McCullough is one of the best competitors I've coached against in a long time. He played at Texas Tech, and he always just brought an edge that was different. And then he's always kind of enjoyed having a dialogue with me. He probably does that with all coaches, but as you said, that kind of started the little dust up, and then their bench got involved and our bench got involved, but at the end of the day, it really had very little to do with the game. Our guys did a really good job just basically ignoring what happened and continuing to play.
Well, when the tournament happens, the winning team goes first in the post-game press conference. The losing team goes second after a cooling-off period. And so Bill Self got up at the podium, and it was his turn to respond. And the question is in here about what Shaka had to say about what happened.
We got Shaka's version. I doubt it was accurate, just so you know, and I don't even care. I'm not going to talk about it, but I guarantee it wasn't accurate.
That was it.
That was it.
That was it. Fantastic. from Bill Self. They clearly don't like each other. Bill Self clearly has an issue with Shaka Smart. Whether that's I don't know, whether he just doesn't like a coach that plays defense on the sideline along with his team, which is great. How Shaka Smart, 40% of the game was in a defensive stance.
When you said it's like they had 6 defenders out there, I was waiting to say, well, actually, Jason, they kind of did.
Shaka Smart slaps the floor. Like he's one of the defenders out there. So maybe that's just something that Bill Self's like, this clown. He sucks. He's a punk.
You've got to really dislike someone to say with full-throated confidence in front of national, international media, I don't know what he said, but he's lying. That's crazy. What if Shaka would have come out and been like, "Yeah, look, I lost my temper. That was on me. I got to be better there." Bill Self gonna punk, liar, fraud. What? I took responsibility. He didn't, of course, but he could have.
It's clearly an Oklahoma thing in how you pronounce accurate, because Mike Gundy was 90% of this is inaccurate.
Accurate. Yeah.
And then Bill Self in that one saying, it's not accurate.
Accurate.
I don't know what he said, but it's not accurate. 90% fat. Come after me. 90% of this is inaccurate. It's an Oklahoma thing, clearly. Inaccurate.
I got to ask Mick in 3 days, 4 days, 5 days.
That'd be 5 days. Coming up on
be
Monday.
here,
We will. I'll ask Mick for you.
Mick,
proxy.
what's the most correct way to say this word?
What's the most accurate way?
What's the precise way to say this word, Mick?
How would you accurately say this word? We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Nick Sirianni endears himself to Chiefs fans. And I do want to know, the unlikable coaches, because, boy, Shaka's up there with KU fans. No doubt about that. And Nick Sirianni really, really endearing himself to the Chiefs fans. We'll do that next. There's so much to be thankful for. Family, friends, food, the NFL, football all week long. DraftKings Sportsbook keeping...
I'm also a little bit surprised that he does. Like he feels like he might be the first head coach to ever just do the backup quarterback thing of wearing a helmet on the sidelines for the speaker, and then just like maybe get a lav mic up in there so he doesn't have to use an actual headset.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Nick Sirianni voted most likely to be the NFL head coach calling plays while wearing a football helmet on the sideline. I think that's true. I think Dan Campbell's too cool for it, but he's second.
Yeah, it wouldn't nearly be as bad as the former Pitt and Arizona State head coach, whose name escapes me, that had the Britney Spears mic.
Oh yeah, that's rad. Maybe like tape it on there just to make sure it's all clean.
That was pretty rough. Or Brady Hoke that just never wore a headset. It's like, what is it you say you do here at Michigan? Just
seems odd.
No headset, just walking around. What are we doing here? Okay, great.
Where was he coaching as this was happening?
Michigan. Doesn't matter.
Maybe he didn't need a headset. Hello, how deep does the rabbit hole go?
He passed it down to Harbaugh.
That's exactly
it's
right.
A family tradition.
Listen, there's a lot of stuff falling from the sky. Leaves, branches, trees, automobiles. Hopefully not automobiles, and maybe not cats or dogs, hopefully. I learned the origin of that idiom recently. So they used to nest up in the roofing of old-timey, like, thatched roofed houses, and if it would rain enough, cats and dogs would actually fall out of your roof. Fun fact. If you don't want that to happen, great news. Let me tell you about Shamrock Roofing and Construction.
Ogden's Olathe Buick GMC, home of the 30-day money-back guarantee, and some great rates going on right now with financing on select GMC models and as low as 1.9% on all new Buick 2023 models. They've also got the first ever 2024 Buick Envista model on sale right now with great miles per gallon and as low as $25,000 MSRP. Don't forget about November. During November, veterans are included in the GM military discount. Swing on by here. We're at I-35 in Santa Fe, going to be here till 1 o'clock. All right, Lee, it's that time to get talking about what's going on with Thanksgiving in Paramount Sports.
The world-famous turkey shootout. So I get so many emails and texts and calls saying, is it coming back? People love it because we put it out. It's ready to go right now. So all you do is, as soon as you purchase it, it's 15 games from tomorrow morning all the way through Sunday night. You're ready to go. So if you're going away for the weekend, a lot of people love it, want to put their bets in. Right now you can do it. You don't have to call back each and every day. And we've had some 12-3, 13-2, and a bunch 11-4 records on this. We've done it now for a decade and only had one losing turkey shootout. So do I think I'm going 15-0? Probably not. I've never won 15 in a row, but who knows? Maybe this is the year I go 14-1. Would you want to miss out there? So 15 plays, 90. We kept the price the same since we started it. Just $97 for all 15 selections, college football and the NFL over the next 4 days. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
All right, let's talk about some games. We do have a lot of games to talk about. Let's start with the big one in college football. It's Michigan-Ohio State. So much drama around this game with the stuff going on with Jim Harbaugh. Michigan's a 3.5-point favorite. They didn't cover last week, but maybe eyes looking forward to this one.
Yeah, a lot of people base their decisions, who they're going to wager on early in the season, the first game of the year they watch, and then once they get going, the last game. And for the first time, Michigan was tested. And sometimes I think that's good. So even though it was the game before their big game, I think that'll teach them what they need to do and how to be in a pressure situation. And Ohio State has had a bunch of close games throughout the year. Still think Michigan's offensive and defensive lines are stronger. I think J.J. McCarthy being able to work himself out of problems, running the football, and then the fact a lot of times, like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, defenses will stack the line, and that's where Michigan hits on their big running plays. We're talking about like 30, 40, 50-yard touchdowns that way. So I think also home field is a big advantage. Michigan's won the last 2 and dominated. I don't think they're going to blow out Ohio State, but still think they're the right side. I'm going to lay the 3.5. Michigan 27, Ohio State 20.
K-State survived on the road in the Sunflower Showdown last week, and now they've got a pretty big number here against Iowa State, who's now eliminated from Big 12 championship competition. K-State may be by the time they get this one going, but I know they want to finish this right, but can they cover 10 points?
Yeah, last week, they just didn't hit on any big plays, and, a rivalry game, the other team sometimes gets up for it. They were able to pull out the win. They wanted to late, they get the ball back, could have tried to pour it on, but just wanted to make sure they won. So that's important. I don't know if Iowa State has a good enough passing game to stay with this Kansas State team. Also think special teams might be the difference here, and home field, senior day, it's always important. I'm going to lay it. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. I'm going to go with Kansas State 35-20.
Maybe a similar situation for Missouri. They pulled one out of the hat. That was a wild one against Florida on Saturday. Arkansas is a mess right now. Missouri's definitely the better team, but is this a rivalry thing? Is Missouri in any danger down here of not being able to cover 7.5?
I think that they might be a little too relaxed here. Missouri's defense also has allowed here 30-plus points 2 of the last 3 games. Missouri seems to be maybe in a relaxed mode here, missing the spread by -10 last week versus Florida in their home finale. You remember that Arkansas beat that Florida team on the road by 3 points. The Hogs have covered the spread against, how about this, every ranked SEC opponent they played this season, 4-0 against the spread. Missouri only faced one mobile quarterback this year, Jaden Daniels. Gave up 49 points. KJ Jefferson, I think is going to do a number on it here upset of the weekend, wrong team favorite, Arkansas outright 35-31.
Yeah, the running quarterback for Florida changed that game in the second half after Graham Mertz went down, too. That is certainly something to watch. All right, let's talk some NFL. Houston continues to be a great story. This is a big one all of a sudden in the AFC South. Jacksonville's coming to their place. Jacksonville's a very slight favorite on the road at Houston.
Yeah, and there's not a trend, there's a system. If you lose first game at home, you go on the road and you're getting laying between 1 and 4 points over 65.2% over the last 5 years. Jacksonville was handcuffed in the first game. D'Amico Ryans came up with a great game plan. Now all of a sudden, they'll be ready for this game. I think they'll be focused. Yeah, they lost a couple weeks ago to San Francisco. San Francisco dominates a lot of people. I think Jacksonville is going to be one of those teams that can beat the teams they're more talented than. And remember this, number one in takeaways is their defense. A lot of people don't realize that here. I think Jacksonville gets the job done here 31-21.
We had a thriller on Monday night in Kansas City with the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Chiefs did not play clean football and still almost had a chance to win. Big win for Philly to get that win here. It's not the Super Bowl, but they got the win. Now the Chiefs have to load up, short week, go on the road, and play against the Vegas team, who they've really done well against out there at the new stadium. But this is a big number, too. The Chiefs aren't covering big numbers.
Nope, they're not. And dropping a lot of passes. I mean, that's going to be the talk all week and all weekends till they can correct it maybe a couple weeks in a row here. How about this? Chiefs have scored the fewest second-half points per game in the NFL so far this year, just 5.3 points per game. Last year, they averaged 13.3 in the second half. NFL's largest negative difference versus prior season in that category. Spread for this game, which is based on point spread in total. They're asking Kansas City probably to score about 26.5 points when they're only averaging 22.5 points here. Thought the Raiders have played really hard at Miami, and sometimes you play hard 3 weeks in a row. That fourth game, that's the game where you have a couple leaks here, and just think that their rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell may be a little too stationary. He's going to be much easier to sack than Jalen Hurts is, and thought the Chiefs did a pretty good job corralling him on Monday night. I just think Kansas City's going to bust out this game. So we've been able to figure them out. I think we only lost 2 or 3 times going forward against Kansas City. I like Kansas City here, 27-13.
Yeah, Chiefs fans definitely want some balls to be caught, and they want them to cover this number. They'd take a win at this point for sure. All right, it's the Turkey Shootout. Tell us about that. And you've got a game of the week for our listeners today, and people like this one.
Yep, big game, Kansas and Cincinnati. Looks like two teams, the last couple games haven't played as well. Want to finish the season strong. You want to get that Kansas-Cincinnati game. First 5 callers get it for free. Call 800-400-9741. First 5 callers get Kansas, Cincinnati on me. And Turkey Shootout up and available right now. 15 games from tomorrow morning all the way through Sunday night. Just one place, ParamountSports.com, $97. And I want to wish you and Todd and your family and your staff and all the listeners out there happy, healthy, and a safe Thanksgiving.
That's Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. I'm Todd Lebo, out here broadcasting live at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC, home of the 30-day money-back guarantee. We're going to be here till 11 o'clock at I-35 in Santa Fe. Swing by and say hello. They've got great interest rates going. It's the end of the year, too. You can get some great deals on some 2023s. And don't forget, it is November. That's Military Appreciation of First Responders. Veterans are included in the GM military discount. More Zone next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, Tickets for Less has special...
She's done the research.
I measured the big boys' booties for like 2 years.
She's analyzed the data.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce has done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB on this Wednesday edition of the show. Time to welcome in Cynthia Freeland to the show, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, welcome in. How are you?
Happy Thanksgiving week. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing just fine. Happy Thanksgiving week to you as well. Is your mom okay after the Monday Night Football loss with her grandson out there in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs not coming through?
She was definitely shook. Like, it took like a whole day. Like, she was definitely not doing well. We had to pull her out of the hole, and luckily Gordy could help with that.
Thank goodness. Was she upset with the receivers? Was she mad at them? Was she saying that maybe Patrick could do something? Was it just in general, just a rough night?
It's never going to be Patrick.
Yeah,
Let's go with that. It's never going to be Patrick, so it's definitely everyone else, right? The refs, everyone except for Patrick.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can understand that. There are times when that seems to be the case. I think there were certainly times last night or on Monday night that felt like the case, that it was everybody but Patrick. But he certainly had his mistakes too. The Chiefs had a lot of them in the game against the Eagles. Some of those, certainly you give credit to the Eagles for the way that they played, things they did. Chiefs, after the game, talked a lot about their own self-inflicted wounds, penalties, turnovers, dropped passes, number one in the NFL in dropped passes, not the stat you want to be number one in. What's your takeaway from that? Is that was that more Chiefs showing the issues that can bite them in the playoffs? Was that the Eagles finding a way to win that game? What's your takeaway from Monday night with the 21-17 win for the Eagles?
Well, if you can tell me how to inception someone not to catch a pass, that would be think about if you could do that, right? Like, don't catch this one, like we all try at home, like, no, or like, yes, catch it, but no. I think it was just more showing you that football is a really balanced sport. We always say it, team 1 to team 32, they're actually not as different as it may seem, especially when we see some blowouts like, 70-20, et cetera. But the truth is the Eagles are a good team as well, but the Chiefs really, it's more to me that the Chiefs lost this one than the Eagles won it.
Does that that was my takeaway too, and there was a reaction of like, well, that's not fair to the Eagles because they had to make plays and this and that, and they still had to go and drive and score those 2 touchdowns. I think there's something to that, to where even when you say the Chiefs lost it, there's a credit to where the Eagles then had to make some plays. But this feels one to where a play here, a play there. Is this, one of the things we talked about on Monday, Cynthia, and I'll get your thoughts on this, is this one of those games to where you go, yeah, that's not going to happen very often, so they're going to be fine. The issues there are something that maybe is correctable, or is that a game you look at and go, yeah, if the Chiefs lose in the playoffs, there it is. That's how.
Well, of course, we do need to give credit to the Eagles. So they did make the plays, but, I guess, and it's not the same way like the Bears lost to the Lions. Like, that was ridiculous. But that's a much different thing, right? Like, it's like 2 evenly matched teams, but it just would have been interesting to see what happened if, like, one of those dropped passes had been caught. Yeah. Obviously, the MVS one, the most notable one, because it was the most visible, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the one, like Travis Kelce. Oh, like, don't fumble anywhere near there, anyone that potentially could, right? Like, so the truth is you have a lot of things that are small. Listen to Gordy. He's really mad about it, too. But, yeah, so I'm looking at this and I'm saying it is their Achilles heel, but can something that is in large part random be a true Achilles heel? That's where, the ideological debate comes in, because it's theoretically something you can fix, but I'm not sure how you do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there is some noise there. There's some randomness, but how random does it become if it's leading the league in a certain stat, to where you've got 26 of those credited drop passes. That, it starts to, as the season goes, like Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. 10 games in, the Chiefs wide receivers and the drop passes and the inconsistencies and not being on the same page too often with Mahomes sort of, that's their Bill Parcells record is this late in the season is what, it says you are.
Yeah, but on some levels, like, if you would have run the football, like, the running was really working in the first half against Philadelphia, right? Like, so then maybe you wouldn't have had to pass them. I don't know. So you're right. Your record is what you say this, but then again, the Chiefs have a really good record. So it's not like, it's not like we're sitting here being like, oh, nope, it's all kind of crazy noise. But there's some version of some of it's noise and some of it's real. But the only way you can go forward is saying you still have the best pieces and the defense is great. Even if, you give up, this is the Eagles. It's not like you're giving up 2 touchdowns to some, scrub team, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like that, right? Like this is a really good team. So I don't know. It's interesting to see how that will progress because, we talk about Andy Reid coming off a bye, blah, 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 blah. Well, but the Eagles were coming off a bye too. And also, can you control the weather? Can you control drop? Like it's just a lot of uncontrolled things, and you can't. Like it's not like you can go back and be like, if you just would have caught that one, or I don't know how centers get penalties, but whatever. Apparently that happens. Like, it's like you got to move forward and take with it what you will.
And it's funny because the official after the game, the pool reporter asking the official, and he said, well, it was him. He put his head down, and it was an abrupt putting his head down. Well, he didn't. He got into a squat to look around at the defense, which happens. I don't know. If there's 70 offensive plays for a team, maybe 50 of those 70, the center gets in a squat and looks around and is making the different calls for the coverage. But they said it was too abrupt that he went to a squat to do that, as opposed to apparently there's a pacing.
I don't know what that means.
There's a pacing that needs to happen for the center.
I mean,
and even I was talking about it on Monday morning or Tuesday morning. I was flipping around when this station was at a break, and I'm like, well, let me go listen to WIP in Philadelphia, and they were like, we're bringing in Brandon Graham right now, and I'm like, oh, awesome, I get to listen in and see what he says. He was very giddy and jovial and happy, but he also came across as like, yeah, we feel good to get out of there with the win. And even on that play, he was like, I don't know. He's like, I tried to get back on time. He's like, we developed the habits of as soon as you jump across, you got to get back as soon as you can. He goes, but I feel pretty fortunate that it went that way. Like, even with that, it's not like, well, yeah, he drew me off sides by doing that. It was like, no. And then they ask him about MVS dropping the pass, and he was like, woo, yeah. He's like, but you know what? We've been in situations where we didn't make the plays. He's like, it happens in football, and the play wasn't made, and we won the game. But his first reaction was, yeah, we got one there. So, which is why I like Brandon Graham. I think he's, Andy Reid loves him and talks about him all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I enjoyed talking to him the Super Bowl week and everything leading up to that game last year. But I think there's certainly, from an Eagles standpoint of, you're not apologizing for a win. And there have been games where they didn't make the plays against the Jets.
Exactly.
And they feel like they should have won that game.
I think you saw it on Brandon Graham's face. You saw it on Brandon Graham's face.
Yeah.
You saw it. He definitely, he was like, oh, is it me or is it him? Is it me or is it him?
Yeah, and he joked. He was like, I just told him right before we walked out on the field, I just went to Josh Sweat and I said, don't you jump off sides. All right, don't jump off sides, watch the ball. And he goes, then I did it. And he was like, I was so mad. But then they called it on them. So I feel fortunate that was the call. Realistically, Cynthia Freeland's our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. Realistically, when you look at this Chiefs offense, and we know by now the stats that have been put out the last couple of days of the 5.9 points in the second half this year, the lowest total points scored in the last 10 years. Second half points scored, the Chiefs have the third lowest amount of total points at 53, behind the 2016 Browns and the 2019 Dolphins, which is not something you would expect with this team. Realistically, how many points do you think the Chiefs need? If you go into a game and say, do they need to find a way? Can you get 4 touchdown drives? Can you get 3 touchdown drives and 2 field goal drives? I know they want to score every single drive, but realistically, the way this offense is playing, can you go into a game and say, find 5 scoring drives that 3 of them are touchdowns, you put a couple of field goals on the board, you got 27, and with that defense, you should walk out with a victory?
I mean, sure, you can find the number, but the question is can you control the clock? Because that number of points is directly correlated to how long you have the ball for, right? I mean, look, obviously everyone would like to score on every drive and in like, a short amount of time to wear the other, to wear everything down. But like, it's one of the better ways to ensure for wins, especially if you look across data historically, is to be a team that can just suck the air out of the ball when they need to. Like they're just slow drives, methodical, 11, like don't have to rely on, 13 seconds and a miracle, right? Like let's just like control the pace. So if you're controlling it, I only really think that that the Chiefs need one more possession. In fact, if you would have looked at that Eagles game, if it would have been just one more possession, I think we would have had a different outcome. So it's more about like what's one versus the other, right? Like is this a team that's going to allow you to run on them? Because if so, control the clock a little bit more, because you always have Patrick Mahomes and the ability to complete, hopefully not drop a pass, but, to have the deep threat. It's always there with Patrick.
The running game, you mentioned that, and it's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because I spent Monday talking about, hey, people have been discussing that maybe they need to run the ball a little bit more, get Pacheco involved, and my preview for the Eagles game was, that's not going to be tonight, because it's one of the best run defenses. That front four, they are so good and stout, and it is tough to run against this team. It may not be the night to where you go, all right, just run the football with Pacheco, run some power games, run some, some zone, and let Pacheco sort of pick in there. And if you're at a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, I'm not sure this is the time to just say, just run it up the middle. And of course, in the game, they were really good running the football. And on 4th and 1, they ran it right up the middle and picked up the first down. Your takeaway from the Chiefs' ability, because they have struggled at times, even against light boxes, to run the football, and execution hasn't been there. Their ability to open up so many holes and bigger holes against that Eagles front that has been really stout against the run.
That little cutback move was really working well until it stopped working. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Isaiah Pacheco with that cutback was really, really explosive. I think it's mixing up the cutbacks with straight-ahead looks with, like, keeping it, you got to sometimes we forget that he's still a very, very young player. It's not like he's had all of these years of experience. So learning how to find those extra wrinkles and folds. I mean, this is not like he was doing that against some slouches. Like, Jalen Carter is one of the best rookies in the entire National Football League, just period, full stop. And his ability to stop runs has been really what's differentiated him from other people. So, I mean, I think now it's like, okay, like this, the cutback worked on this one, the spin on this one. It's kind of getting that feel and rhythm for what works against who, and that's something where you have to remember, give them a little time to adapt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the better developments, what we saw the Chiefs able to do to run the football against that Eagles front. The flip side, though, if I want to play the con, if that's the pro, the con is, for so often this year, Cynthia, we've talked about, can the Chiefs run the football so that they can loosen up the defense? The defense is playing deep. They're not letting you take the shots. They're keeping everything underneath, saying go with 10, 11 plays, and you're going to turn it over, have a penalty, a drive killer of some sort. And if the Chiefs could just run against lighter boxes to force the defense to adjust and have to bring somebody up. And the concerning thing for me is that Monday night, the running game forced the Eagles to do some of that. They were running some single high safeties against the Chiefs. The Chiefs had MVS down the field. They had Watson down the field on 2 different drives. And then, of course, the MVS drop on the final drive. That's 3 different plays where the Chiefs saw one-on-one on the outside and took a shot, and it was there. It just wasn't on the same page or a flat-out drop. That's a little more concerning to me, is that the Chiefs have done what we've wondered if they could do, run the ball to make those deep shots available. They did that, and they still didn't come away with that. So that sort of is not a, if they could do this, we'll see them improve. We saw them do that, and they still couldn't get it done.
Well, all right. To be a little fair on that one, though, the weather, not to say that, the Kansas City Chiefs aren't used to this weather, but, it's a new element that we haven't really been seeing, and you've got weather. And I think all of us have this mental thing where, if it doesn't work a couple of times, you just worry it's going to work the next time, and it maybe changes the way you approach it. It's not a momentum thing. It's more of a mental thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we in the position, like, can we do it, right? I think a lot of it is, like, self-belief. And if you have a few that don't seem to drop or fall where you want them to be, then becomes more difficult to kind of get out of that mindset and be like, okay, well, obviously you air it out for MVS, but and that one, whatever, you can't even kind of get mad at that because it is what it is, right? But it's not easy to catch. Even Tyreek Hill says it wasn't even to catch, easy to catch that. So it's more like, okay, we saw a lot of good things and then a few unfortunate things, and this is a game of inches, so those few unfortunate things just ultimately prove to be too punishing.
What do you make of the AFC? Cynthia Frelund's our guest. What we've seen over the last, few weeks or so, Mark Andrews is out for the Ravens. He had surgery, I think, today. There's a chance he can return late in the season. We know about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, and that happened so early in the season. Joe Burrow going down. The Bills' defensive injuries with Tre'Davious White and Milano. The Chargers with their just chargering, every single year. What do you – Cleveland losing Deshaun Watson, for the season. Throw that one in there. The Steelers are in the playoffs right now, but firing an offensive coordinator. This was an AFC that preseason, Cynthia, we thought was just going to be a gauntlet to get through. And right now it sort of looks like a struggling Bills team, a Dolphins offense that has not been as good of late as it was early in the season, a Ravens team, and a Chiefs team. What do you make of the AFC, and who are the teams that you wouldn't be surprised as it stands right now that would be playing in Vegas on February 11th?
Yeah, it's funny because the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Dolphins, like you kind of named all. You got to remember, this infirmary of the AFC, we're not even done yet. I mean, I feel like every week, another lever gets pulled, right? Like the entire Bills defense, boof. And then even not that the Colts are really in the true, Vegas hunt, but, having a weird retirement, it's weird for a guy of Dak Leonard's value to retire week 12 of the NFL season. There's just a lot of weird things going on. I call them weird, anomalies going on statistically. This is a hugely, key players getting injured season. I have to go back and see, but it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
The number of rookie quarterbacks we're seeing is pretty insane. The number of play callers and quarterbacks that have played less than 2 full seasons of games is at an all-time high. So it's a weird year for sure, which means defense matters for sure. So I'm looking here and thinking, okay, if you think the one thing that to me makes it between the Chiefs and the Ravens for who's truly going to be a contender in Vegas, both of those things, it's great quarterback, sure. I think Patrick's better than Lamar, but he's still a great quarterback, right? And then defense. I mean, the Ravens have a pretty gnarly defense as well. So it's just going to come down to those little inches and those little preserving turnover situations where you're able to control the flow of the game and make sure that you have one more possession than your opponent, because these defenses this year have an advantage just league-wide.
Yeah, and it's one of the significant parts about, Mark Andrews being lost. And if there's a chance he returns if late in the season, well, that's when the Chiefs and Ravens would match up. In theory, would be either in Baltimore or in Kansas City on the final weekend of the AFC playoffs. That's
right.
What we would look at and say that's when they would match up. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. Obviously, if the Ravens lose a couple and the Dolphins win, or the Jags win and all of a sudden the Ravens are the 3 or the 4 seed somehow, who knows? But if they match up again, it'll be the divisional or championship round game in the AFC playoffs. And at that point, Mark Andrews might be there. How effective he is, who knows? But it's a pretty significant loss for that Ravens offense. And as you mentioned, there's still 7 games to play this season with so many things that have taken place. You mentioned defense. There was Trent McDuffie has been a guy that last year when he was healthy and was playing, it was like, all right, this guy's showing that he was worth the pick. And they moved up to get him because they didn't think there was a chance he was going to be there at 21, and he was, and they said, we got to do it. We got to go up there and get it and jump ahead of the Bills, by the way, and take Trent McDuffie, and the Bills got Kyer Elam, one of the bigger exchanges of draft picks we've seen in a long time. And so the Chiefs did that, and last year Trent McDuffie, was showing that he was going to be really good. This year, he has just taken another step as to the overall football player he is. It's not just this guy's a cornerback and can cover. We know he can do that, but in the game on Monday night, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, tackles for loss, a pass defensed, another couple of tackles in the open field. Almost had another interception that was knocked in the air by L'Jarius Sneed. McDuffie has been phenomenal. Is he, in your mind, growing into one of the better defensive players in the league? With not just cornerbacks, but just better defensive players in the league, Cynthia?
Absolutely. I mean, look, he's right up there with the guys who have been there a lot longer than him, right? So and by the way, we have to remember he didn't even play a full season last year in his rookie season. It's an interesting note because his trajectory, he's still, young in his career. Obviously, we don't know exactly what he's going to look like, likely without L'Jarius Sneed next year, but it makes you feel a lot more confident that they can find the right pieces if you can't pay L'Jarius Sneed, which that man has made himself some money this year.
Yes, he has.
And it will make it a lot more palatable for the entire defense. Not to say that you can never replace someone, but if they can't somehow make it work financially, you'll be able to find someone because of how Trent McDuffie's taken this huge step forward. Then you have these other surrounding pieces. He will help lift whomever comes in to help out with that. Hopefully it's L'Jarius Sneed, but I think he's going to be expensive.
I do too, and especially some of the numbers of him traveling and the receivers he's going up against and shutting down.
Crazy little package there.
Yeah, except for Josh Palmer. If you can just figure out how to cover Josh Palmer, that would be great. Look, it's not just Sneed, it's just Josh Palmer against the Chiefs. I mean, it could be Revis prime, Sanders prime, and Josh Palmer would go off for 7 and 98 and a touchdown if he plays the Chiefs for some reason. He's been just that good. Another defensive player I want to get your thoughts on, and then we'll get your prediction on the game. But Max Crosby is, sometimes he wakes up the wrong mother bleepers out there, but he is so freaking good. And I had talked about a couple of weeks ago, like the impact he was making, defensive player of the year, if he would even be in the running for that. Myles Garrett has gone on a run with sacks, and Micah Parsons was dominant. Yeah. But Max Crosby, the tackles for loss, the overall tackles, the sacks, and in the last 8 weeks, Cynthia, he has played 537 of 539 snaps that the defense has played.
What was he taking 2 snaps off for?
Yeah, lazy, clearly. How about get in shape? That's what I would say to him.
He's slipping.
Yes. The impact he has, we're going to watch 2 guys this weekend that offenses and offensive line say, where is he? Let's adjust for him. Or do we have to put tight ends or double teams? It's Chris Jones in the middle, and it's Max Crosby there for the Raiders. The impact he makes on the field is just unbelievable. And I think one of the bigger, crazier stats is that he doesn't leave the field. Every single play he's out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw him working out. I was in Vegas for the East-West Shrine Bowl back in January, and I literally saw him working out. It was the biggest cluster ever, and he was in there just so focused, already working out. It was like January 26th or 5th or something crazy like that, the first day he could be in there. So, he really works at it. He works at his craft, and he respects the game, which, you have to love him for, right? Like, you may not like him this week. You may not like him because he's a Raider, but in general, you have to respect his work ethic and the fact that not only is he doing what he's doing, like, from a production standpoint, but also he's really doing it without the help of – they got a little bit of help, but not really.
Yeah. That's one of my points is why I think he's been so dominant and should get more consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. And I know the record isn't there for the overall team, but who else is on that defense that scares you that a team would go, yeah, we got to worry about him, we got to worry about him, we got to worry about him. Oh, and Max Crosby. It feels like you got to worry about Max and then, I don't know, a group of other players. And when it's one guy that's out there, you feel like you can do a pretty decent job of eliminating him, but he doesn't allow that to happen. He'll take on double teams. He gets tackles for loss. He gets overall. He's got, 60 tackles on the season. For a defensive end is absurd, by the way, to have that many tackles halfway through the season. To go along with the 11 sacks and 15 tackles for loss, it's unbelievable. Chris Jones has some help because the secondary is so good, and Karlaftis has been really good in pressures, and Amenahu has been good. So they've got some other guys there. I've been really impressed with Max Crosby. I like the guy, and I like that on that night he woke up the wrong mother bleeper because it helped the Chiefs win. There's also a mutual respect between Mahomes and Max Crosby, too, even though they got in each other's face. They're both big competitors.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and look, the good news about when you're looking at players like this, like, you want to have ones that you have a little bit of like a friendly rivalry with, right? Like, it doesn't see, it's all respect and all love at the end of the game, but I want to go against your best and see what I got.
Yep. All right. What do you think happens on Sunday, Cynthia, between Chiefs and Raiders?
Well, I think it's probably a game where Chiefs fans are going to be a little bit happier. My mom will certainly be happier after this one. I'm still quite worried about the interior of that offensive line for the Raiders. I don't think they have some great answers. We also saw, Josh Jacobs had a couple of good games against the Jets and the Giants. The Giants specifically, the defense is not really maybe it is the strength of the team, but it's not a team that you're sitting there being like, wow, this is a fantastic team. But look, at the end of the day, they haven't figured out the Josh Jacobs piece of the puzzle yet. So that's where I think that it's just going to be very difficult for them with Aiden O'Connell. By the way, he played at the East West Shrine Bowl, but with Aiden O'Connell, under the helm, it's just a little bit. They're doing some good things, and they've got a lot of heart. And I've known Antonio Pierce for years, and if there's someone that you could really like and respect, he's a really a good human who wants the best for people, which is a nice thing to feel. But I don't think it's it's not going to go well for them. It's going to be a nice, solid Kansas City. Not on the field. I think things are getting better. You don't want people to be in. You don't want anyone to be in pain, right? But meaning it seemed like they were all very unhappy before, and now it feels like they're at least a little happier.
Yeah, Cynthia Freeland is our guest. All right, a couple quick ones. Turkey or ham for Thanksgiving? I know the tradition is turkey, but would you rather have turkey or ham just on what you would eat rather than you're supposed to have a certain dish? And then the side dish, which is typically what Thanksgiving is about, that you go to first.
Yeah, so we do the turkey. I'm never super. I don't really care. I'm not a huge turkey or ham person. We have manigots, my Italian cousin makes our manicotti, and I'd rather just eat all of that the whole time because it's so good. But I would have to say my stuffing is my favorite side. It's give me all the carbs, all of them.
Yes, absolutely. Stuffing, the dressing, whatever you want to call it. It is awesome. Cynthia Freeland, so are you, NFL Network analytics expert. Thank you so much for the time as always. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will talk next week.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Absolutely. There's Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, joining us as she does each and every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. We will take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll catch up with Todd Lebo for a few minutes, see where he's at, what he's doing today on this Wednesday. And as a reminder, shorter show today. We are done at noon with KU pregame, little KU basketball getting underway at noon for us. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. Thank you to Cynthia Freeland. Welcoming in Todd Lebo here to the show for just a little bit. Todd, where are you at? Because I don't see you here in studio right now.
No, I'm not there. I'm out at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. We're going to be out here till 1 o'clock. Swing on by, say hello, talk a little football with some turkey, whatever you'd like. You know, it's the year end is rolling through here, so they've got great deals going on, lots of different vehicles. And stock is up now, more than it's been in the past couple of years. So there's lots of things to choose from, and they are ready to make deals out here at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. Financing rates as low as 0.9% on some new GMCs. They've got 1.9% on Buick models. And they also have, it's November still, and they've got veterans included in the GM military discount. So it's a great place to come by and shop for whatever you'd like, new, used, at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. It's a beautiful day. And from what I could tell driving into work today, not everybody's working. Don't go to the grocery store and spend time fighting around, trying to fight over the last thing of stuffing. Come on out here and talk to us and check out some beautiful new vehicles at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC.
The guy, the comedian that was the Costco worker or whatever that had the funny TikToks. And I always think about it around the holidays when he's like, the person like, I don't understand why they make you work on Thanksgiving like this. Because of you. You are the reason. You're literally here on Thanksgiving wondering why I'm working on Thanksgiving. You're the reason I'm working today. So, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Don't go to the store. Don't bother. Give them reasons in the next couple of years to take the day off.
And listen, you can't come here tomorrow, okay, because they're closed on Thanksgiving.
Right.
But you come here today. You know what I mean?
And you see Todd.
Yeah, I've never wanted to go be involved in going anywhere on
I feel so
Thanksgiving or
bad.
anything.
I feel so bad if I'm like, well, we forgot it. I know they're open, and I feel bad that they're open. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to be that person that's going to go, thank you for being open. I appreciate it because I wasn't good enough to prepare ahead of time to make sure I had everything, and I forgot something. And this is a check in life to where I do have to take that. It's a penalty. It's a 5-yard penalty in life that I'm just going to have to eventually get rid of the penalties and the turnovers and things like that, Todd, and just be better. I got to fix it. I got to fix it is what I got to do.
Well, that's the thing. I think my wife had to stop last night and buy a couple of little things, but that was 2 days early.
Yes,
but listen,
right.
if we don't have it now, forget about it. It's over. We're not having it. Because here's what I know. The people coming into my house on Thanksgiving are going to be just fine, even if we don't eat it all on Thanksgiving. We'll all be alive the next day, okay? We have enough stored up in our bodies that we would make it through.
And you know what? The people coming over to our house, we're celebrating on Friday. People that'll be at our house on Friday, they're bringing enough food that I think we're fine.
And if you're trying to check out like tomorrow at 11 with a frozen turkey in your hand, it's too late. It is time. If your turkey's in the freezer now, I think it's time for Plan B. Just a PSA.
It could be a microwave on that one.
It might be a microwave situation.
Yeah, or you just go and pick it up.
We had that
day
happen.
Of, you know?
Yeah,
You had
years
the
ago
microwave
when
one?
my grandmother was still alive, she miscalculated. It was her last Thanksgiving with her host because the turkey was frozen. I don't think she got it defrosted all the way, and she did the math wrong on whatever X amount of pounds turkey whatever it was. It was like 6:30. The Cowboys game was basically over, and the turkey was cold. We're like, all right.
Oh.
Final Thanksgiving for your grandma. You can't host it.
And then you've got the Christmas vacation where you open up the turkey and there's the heart.
Well, no, it wasn't that dry. We had to microwave a little bit. Hey, listen, you know what? Here's the deal, though. We were all together as a family, and we had a story forever.
That's exactly right.
That's what Thanksgiving's about.
That's what it's all
Don't
about.
get freaked out about the food and all that. Watch the football games, enjoy each other's company, and have fun. That's what it is. If I ruin our Thanksgiving turkey that I'm going to smoke tomorrow, sorry. Tough luck.
You guys will
We've
remember
got
it.
some
You'll
whipped
remember
cheese and crackers and stuff.
That's right. You'll remember the ruined, turkey that Dad tried to smoke. I don't remember really any Thanksgiving over at my grandma's when I was a kid, except for one, and that's when I told the story. All of my uncles used to every year around, the holidays. Risk was a huge board game in our family, and they would all sit around and play Risk, and they would all my uncles would all team up on my dad. There was about 8 uncles, so he had 8 brothers-in-law with
He's fighting the world.
And they would all team up on him. And one year, the only Thanksgiving I remember is that he finally got tired of it. He got eliminated, and he lifted up and flipped the entire Risk board. I don't remember another Thanksgiving at Grandma's house. That one like it was yesterday.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
You just had enough. That was just one
don't
year.
fight with your family.
1 year too many. 1 year too many of getting teamed up on and getting eliminated. Nobody's playing anymore. That's right.
We're not playing that anymore.
No,
We're taking risk out of it.
Yeah, that's right. Nick Sirianni eliminated all risk because he got to the tunnel before he started yelling and talking some smack. If people did not hear that, let's play that clip of Nick Sirianni. This is right as he gets into the tunnel and out to the view of fans. NBC Philly has a camera on him still.
Chiefs fans.
I don't hear any more Chiefs fans. Well, because
That's the
you're
funny
now in the
part
tunnel.
about that tunnel. The tunnel, you think you're kind of covered up because they have the little tarp over it. And that, hey, listen, sadly, that little tarp is there so people don't throw stuff at people.
Yeah,
okay.
I
know it's a pretty sign, but it's really there so they don't throw stuff at people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a little salty there last night. I was in both locker rooms after the game, and the Philly one certainly had a lot of energy. And I think they were. It's not the Super Bowl, okay? But this was a big, big game for Philly, and it clearly was a big game for Nick Sirianni. And he probably caught a lot of crap walking down that tunnel before the game, and then probably at halftime, and then coming out at halftime, and then he got to walk up with the victory. But I can't. It is just. There's no chance in the world Andy Reid would ever do anything like that.
No, not at all. Is there an issue that he has that he wasn't retained with Andy Reid when he took the job? Because it just feels like he's got something against the Chiefs, whether organization or Chiefs fans. And it's weird because he married a Kansas City girl and his entire in-laws are Chiefs fans / now Eagles fans. But, he married a girl here from Kansas City. They're all Chiefs fans.
I mean, that was talked about a lot last year at the Super Bowl that he can get retained. But listen, it's not like they retained 4 people and he wasn't the guy. Nobody got retained.
Yeah.
It was, the house was cleaned. He gets that. It's a very interesting story. Do a little research on. He went to Mount Union, which is that D3 powerhouse, and Matt Campbell was a teammate of his, the Iowa State coach, and the head coach at Toledo was his roommate. And Alex Grinch, who's unemployed right now, who was the USC and Oklahoma defensive coordinator, maybe not very good at his job, whatever. These guys were all on the team together, and they all coached together at Mount Union. And now they've all gone from this little D3 school to coaching in the Super Bowl, coaching in the head coaching in the MAC, coaching in the Big 12 title game, all that stuff. It's pretty crazy. So whatever they got going there is some sort of a culture, and most of those guys have a little chip on their shoulder.
Yeah,
they do. You saw the video with Matt Campbell earlier this year, getting it on an Iowa State fan, right?
Yep. Yeah. So they've certainly got that. What do you got going on at Robert Brogdon again before we let you go and get back to schmoozing with some people?
Yeah, we're hanging out here having a good time, and like I said, they have great. They're ready to make deals, right? They have more cars now than they've had before, so it's year end as well. So if you're looking at 2023s, you want to come make a deal. The folks at Robert Brogdon and Olathe Buick GMC are ready to deal with you and for you. And of course, remember that across the street they've got the Kia dealership as well. Same thing over there. So swing on by here, say hello to us. We're just having fun here on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and just come check us out. I-35 in Santa Fe, and if you can't get by here today, come by here this weekend. They will be open and ready to go.
Todd, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, sir.
Same to you guys.
All right, there's Todd Lebo at Robert Brogdon. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show because a quicker, abbreviated show today with the KU pregame starting at noon. More Zone next. All right, wrapping up the show on this Wednesday edition.
What?
That's right.
It's not even noon yet.
That's right. Because at noon we will hear the tones of my brother from another mother, Brian Haney. So people may tune in and go, "Wait a minute, is he calling play? That's Anderson talking, but he's talking about KU and Tennessee. That's weird." They tip off at 1:30, but pregame starting in just a little bit. So there you go. Thanksgiving plans, Josh?
We're heading to Florida tonight. We got a real late flight, so we'll see the family down there, and it will be my third iteration of a Thanksgiving dinner of some sort, which I'm very excited about.
And a warm Thanksgiving?
And a warm, potentially touch some sand Thanksgiving, which is I'm really excited about.
Dylan, what do you got going on?
Just the yearly tradition at the aunt's house out in Baser, out in the sticks. It's pretty nice. Just a nice secluded area, a lot of land. So, yeah, football and food.
Hell yeah.
Are you ready for the challenge? You're hosting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've hosted the last few years, so I am all for it. So actual Thanksgiving Day, we kind of take it easy, just the four of us hanging out because our family hosts on Friday. All of the family, because everybody can go do their own thing on Thursday, and then, hey, we don't have to worry about cutting our time short. We can spend the entire day together on Friday. So, yeah, pumped about hosting. Love it. And give me ham over turkey.
Green bean casserole for life. That's right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Everybody.